Welcome, everybody. This is my first cooking show. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited you're all here and willing to participate in this grand experiment. And if it all goes well today, we'll do it again. So I just want to say hi to everybody. I've known so many of you for a long time since you were little. Does anyone have any questions yet?
They're all muted.
They're all muted, so can you unmute? So I have an executive producer here.
Let's start again.
May is my executive producer and David is my production crew. So he's unmuted, you guys. Does anyone have any questions before we get started?
No.
It's my carrots.
Okay.
If it doesn't taste good, I'm coming over for
All right,
your food.
you come over and you can come over and cake. Okay, so I think the first thing we're gonna do is just review all your ingredients and make sure you have everything with you. So one thing is we talked about having, let's start with the order of what you think, some kind of oil. So I like to use coconut oil because this is a Thai coconut sauce and it's going to be coconutty anyway. So coconut oil is a really healthy oil to cook with. If you don't want to use coconut oil, you can use any kind of vegetable oil. Just wouldn't use olive oil. Okay, so make sure you have your oil, you have your spices. I'll put them here on the cutting board. My cutting board. Okay, there it is. Yeah, I'm gonna name them the spices. Okay, cutting board. You want to have your Thai curry paste, and your onion, your garlic if you want to have some garlic, your coconut milk, and let's see. I like to use fish sauce. Fish sauce, for those of you who have it, is a very salty, kind of stinky ingredient, but it tastes so good. It tastes much, much better than it smells. And what else do we have? We have a little bit of sugar. I'm going to use coconut sugar, but you can use any kind of sugar. And I have my vegetables. So I'm going to use cauliflower today. And my cauliflower here. And I'm going to use green beans. Okay. Can I find out from everybody what vegetables you guys are using?
You don't play with the knife. Leave it down.
Green onion.
Can we go first? This is Diana.
Yeah.
We are using zucchini, snap peas, and an orange bell pepper.
Excellent. Cool. What other vegetables are we using?
Green onion is an herb, right?
These are not.
Yeah, that can be a green onion can be an herb or a vegetable.
She wanted us to wash.
Any other vegetables anyone wants to call out? Oh, I see Avery's holding a cauliflower. Yeah? Anyone else? Broccoli. Tyler's broccoli. Cool. Excellent choices. And Cam, what is that? Is that zucchini?
Green beans.
Green beans. Cool. Awesome. How about you, Jada? Jada, remind me.
We have carrots and broccoli, and we have peppers, bell peppers,
Oh, excellent.
and potatoes.
Oh, great. Awesome. And Sabrina has carrots and broccoli. Is that what I see?
And mushroom.
Cool. Drew, what do you have? Anna, what do you have, Anna? What kind of vegetables do you have?
I have broccoli, carrots, and squash.
Great. Awesome. Okay. And then for your protein, how many of you are cooking with chicken? Raise your hands.
Raise your hand, please. Raise your hand.
1, 2.
Wait, we are.
Okay. Anyone cooking with tofu today like me? Anyone else cooking with tofu? Shmoo? Okay, Shmoo's cooking with tofu. All right, excellent. So what I'm gonna do is I'm really a lazy cook, so I'm gonna try to cut all the vegetables first on my cutting board. And you know what's an important rule when you cut vegetables and meat?
What?
If you're cutting meat, you wanna make sure that if you're cutting vegetables, you wanna make sure you're cutting it on a clean cutting board. Because if you cut meat and raw meat on a cutting board and then you cut vegetables on it, then it's kind of like slimy and icky. It can get a little bit dirty and bacteria, germy. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to save us from having to wash the cutting board multiple times. I'm going to cut all the vegetables first and then throw them in the pot and we'll put them aside, and then we'll cut the meat, okay? Okay, so let's get going. Let's cut our onion first, everybody, okay? So everyone take your onion and take your knife. Got it? Okay.
You want to try or should I do it?
Everyone get their onion and their knife. So you see the onion has two ends. There's like a root end, and then there's like the stem end. So what I'm going to do is cut the ends off first. Okay, so I'm taking my knife. I'm carefully making sure my hand is far enough away from the knife that won't slip. And you get a really firm grip on it because the onion is round. You don't want it to roll around. So I cut the ends off first. Okay. And then I'm going to peel the skin off and peel the stems off and the root off. So you're going to be left with a white onion.
Okay.
Got it? Everyone peeling an onion?
Oh, wow. Okay, let me help.
Yes.
Can I help?
That?
She's fast.
Okay.
You're too fast, Lynna.
Okay, I'm waiting. I'm not moving forward yet.
I'm going to help you.
Yeah.
Don't put on your shirt. Your shirt's dirty.
My shirt's not.
Dirty, Tyler.
Okay, I did that. Okay, so you guys are muted right now. My executive producer has muted you all. But if you have a question, my executive producer is also paying attention and she can see if you've raised your hand or if you've chatted us. So if you have a question, you can chat us too, okay? So I heard from Diana, she wants me to slow down. And I see people still peeling. Take your time, we're good. Yay, Tyler, awesome. Very nicely peeled onion. Shmoo, are you all done? Yes? Thumbs up? Give me a thumbs up, excellent. Okay, oh, thumbs down, Oliver.
Oliver. I think that's Winnie's younger son.
How you doing, Clayton? Awesome, okay. Everyone ready to start cutting? Okay, so we're gonna take our onion and you can stand it on a flat end so it doesn't roll around. So make sure it's on a flat base end. And then you're gonna take your knife again, you're gonna cut it in half, okay? And it's gonna cut into 2 halves. And then you lay them down also on the flat side down. All right? Nice. Okay, good. If anyone has a question, feel free to raise your hand or chat us. Okay, so before we cut our onions, I'm gonna teach you all how to save time. We're gonna multi-step here. I'm gonna move over to the stove, okay? So everyone can move over to the stove and turn the heat for your pot to about low right now. So we're just gonna start your pot heating. So for those of you who are near your stove or in your kitchen, you can turn on your stove and have it on low. And that way you can start your pot to heat because pretty soon we'll add oil. By the time we finish cutting our onions, the pot will be warm enough to put our oil in and we can put the onions in, okay? Okay. Everyone back? All right, so we can start cutting our onions now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the flat end of the onion that's down on your cutting board and I'm gonna cut little lines through it. Not all the way, you don't have to cut all the way to the end. You see that? So they're each about like ½ inch apart, kind of like this, that size apart. You see that? Okay, and then you're gonna do the same with the second half. Okay, ready? Everyone have start cutting their second half of their onion. Nice work. Avery, you all done, Avery? Thumbs up. Oh, you're fast. Clayton's done. Excellent. Tyler's done, and Maddie. Oh, I see people crying. Oh, Cameron's done. Cool. Okay. So the next step we're going to do, and I'll do it slowly, so for those of you who are almost there, you can catch up. We're going to take our onion again, take one of the halves, and then you're going to cut it crosswise. So cut it the opposite direction so you get like a little grid, like little squares. Okay? See that? So you're cutting it across those lines that you just cut. Okay? It doesn't have to be perfect. They don't have to all be the same size. What's so great about this recipe, it's very forgiving. It's all going to be in a sauce, so it does not have to look perfectly uniform. Okay? So when you're done cutting your first half, you can cut the second half. There you go. Diana, you okay? Can you unmute Diana, maybe?
I think I'm fine. I think I'm fine.
You
I'm
cut
cutting
yourself?
the onion for Clayton because his eyes keep watering, and then
Oh.
it slipped down the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, careful, guys. Okay.
Okay, cool.
I'm not bleeding yet. I think I'm okay.
That's okay. Thanks, moms, for helping. I see some moms there. Thank you. And good for you guys who are doing it on your own. Okay, so now that we have our onions cut or almost cut, we're going to move back to our stove and you're going to start adding your oil in. Okay, so get your oil. So if you're using coconut oil, if anyone's using coconut oil, I'm just going to put in a couple tablespoons. If you're using vegetable oil, kind of roll it around, like put in about maybe like 2 tablespoons of oil. 2 or 3 tablespoons.
You want to do actual tablespoons, please? Okay. Here. I'm going to measure 2 tablespoons. Over the pot in case it spills.
Yeah, no.
Got it? Okay. So as soon as your oil's in your pot, you can move your onions into the pot. Does Joyce have a question? Tyler, you have a question? Maybe can you unmute Auntie Joyce? No question? Tyler, what's up?
My eyes are just watering.
I know, I'm sorry. That happens with onions.
You want to do this, Clayton?
Okay, guys. So I'm going to start putting my onions into my warm pot with the oil in it. Anyone else want to follow? You can. Avery, you ready? Avery? Clayton? Okay, let's move your cutting board over to the stove. Move the stove. Okay. You can hear it sizzling. Keep it on the stove, Renee. And then I'm just going to stir it around. And then I'm just going to leave it. I'm back at my cutting board. Come back to me, Renee.
Sorry.
All right. I see some people are still cutting their onions. That's fine. I see some people already moving on to the next step, which is the vegetable. So those of you who have vegetables that need to be washed, you can wash them now. So take the pot that you have next to you and put the vegetables that you want to wash inside. So I'm going to use green beans. I'm going to wash my green beans first. So I'm going to use maybe about half a package. And I'm going to take these green beans. These green beans actually have these stems on them. I'll show you here. So I'm going to pick them off really quickly. If your green beans have stems or if your carrots have peels, Now is the time to peel it or to de-stem.
She's working on her green beans. Good. We're ahead of the game.
Okay. If you have broccoli, you want to move on to start washing, or cauliflower, you can do that too.
Okay. And I think that's good. And if you want, you can wipe the bottom. Wipe it dry. And I'll rinse that.
Great job. As you're prepping your vegetable, every so often, maybe you want to go over to your stove and stir the pot a little bit, but you don't have to yet. It's still kind of getting soft. So, Maddie has a question. Maybe can you unmute your voice?
So,
I know.
start with the zucchini.
Hey, Maddie.
How
You
many
should
full
have said that.
vegetables do we need?
How much vegetables? If it's for, let's see, I would say like, which vegetable are you referring to? The broccoli?
Please don't.
We have broccoli, green beans, carrots, and mushrooms.
Okay, so if you have green beans, I would say maybe like 2 big handfuls.
Okay.
Okay, you can keep your stove on low right now, yes. Thank you for the question. We're keeping the stove on low right now because we're just letting the onions kind of sweat a little bit, and we're not watching it the whole time, so we need some time to prep our vegetables.
Wait, what, the zucchini?
Yeah, how big to cut the vegetables? How big the chunks?
Oh, so you want a bite size. So if you're doing green beans, for example,
Yeah.
what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut them in half. Okay, I'm gonna cut my green beans in half. If you're doing carrots, I would maybe cut your carrots in half and cut them into just chunks, just enough to be bite-sized.
Okay, so maybe like how I did it the other
Broccoli, depending on how big
No,
your
no, the
rolls
two
are, you
Can I do
can
one for you?
have your
Can I do it? That's what-
broccoli be bite-sized also.
That's gonna just disappear. No, sweetie. It needs to be bigger, a little bigger than that. Can I do one?
So as I'm washing my green beans, I'm gonna put them into the colander here. I'll show you my colander, and that'll drain the water.
It should
And
be.
then it'll leave me enough, and I can use my bowl again to wash
Because
my
it's gonna
next
cook for a
vegetable.
long time. It's gonna get all mushy. Should be like that. Will you eat it if it's that big?
All right. I'm gonna do my cauliflower next. I don't think I'll need to use this whole cauliflower because I'm only making enough for 5 or 6 people. If you really love cauliflower, you can, but I'm just gonna use half of it. And what I'm doing is I'm peeling off the outside leaves of this cauliflower. Okay. But keep prepping whatever vegetable you have. Every so often, come over and saute your onion a little bit on low. Just saute it so it doesn't burn. Okay?
No, you don't. If you can, I'm gonna have a question. If we talk with the
And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to cut my cauliflower in half. So I'm just going to use half. And I'll set one aside and I'll use this half. I'm going to rinse it really quickly in some water. So if you have cauliflower that you need to rinse, you can rinse it, or broccoli. How's everyone doing? Good. Nice cutting, Shmoo. It's a big knife. Good for you. Avery's still peeling. Do I see a chat? No, you don't. Okay. So I'm going to process my cauliflower now. So this cauliflower has a stem. I'm going to take the stem off. So use my knife to trim it off. And then I'm left with this big chunk of cauliflower. You can do a couple of things to it. You can cut it into little chunks, into bite-sized chunks, kind of like this size here. Where's a good, yeah, like this size. Okay, or you can use your hands and break them apart too if you prefer to use your hands. Okay, so I think I'll use a combination of my hands and cutting it. But you just want them in bite-sized chunks. They don't all have to be the same size. They can be some bigger, some smaller. This is a very forgiving recipe. Everything's gonna soften up in your curry, so you'll be fine. For those of you who have multiple vegetables, like some of you have 3 different kinds of vegetables, you might want to consider turning off your heat completely. So, because if it's going to take a little while to get your vegetables prepped, you might want to turn your heat off. So I'm going to turn my heat off right now because my onions are starting to get a little bit brown. And I think that's good. I think it's brown enough, so I'm going to turn my heat off. Okay. Like that. And then just keep working on your vegetable. Hi, Winnie. Winnie has, maybe can you unmute Auntie Winnie?
Yeah.
If you're done with the vegetables, can you put them in? Not yet. We're gonna put the vegetables in last. Okay. Oh, okay. That's a great question. So don't put the vegetables in the pot just yet, because the vegetables will cook pretty quickly. They'll cook faster than the chicken will. So we want to put them in last so that you don't get super mushy vegetables. How you doing, Avery? Are you done with all your vegetables? Yay, good. Okay, how about you, Cam? Unmute everybody.
And then you can do the rest of the zucchini.
Oh, okay, Maddie. So Maddie, for your mushroom, Tyler, for your mushroom, you can just cut them into quarters or halves. Depending. If they're big mushrooms, you can cut them in half. If they're smaller mushrooms, or if they're big mushrooms, cut them into quarters. If they're smaller, you can cut them in half. It's up to you. What are you doing? So you all done with your veggies?
That's enough carrots.
Are you all done?
All 3 of them.
Do that.
You want to put these in the floor.
Do you turn off the
Nice
heat?
work, Avery. Nice sauteing over there. I see you. It's great. Okay. Anyone else have more vegetables to process?
We do.
Last week we did potatoes.
We do, we're almost done.
Fine.
Like an inch.
You don't
What happens if it's in half? Like
You're gonna cut like this.
So you only gonna do beans and carrots?
Other questions.
That's fine by me.
Yeah.
You could do the potato, but then like you would go on.
Cameron, do you have a question?
that's not me.
If we have garlic,
After if we can do.
or
If you have garlic, you can go ahead and smash and peel your garlic now.
We still have one more carrot to go.
A lot of carrots though. It's gonna start.
Nice. Then you go like
You
this.
just take, like, you can sort of see where the garlic is here. So I just stick my nail in there.
Does everyone know how to peel garlic? So when you peel garlic, you have the skin on the outside. So what I like to do is I take my knife and I smash it. And smashing the garlic helps you peel the skin off a lot faster.
Yeah, I smash it too. Watch your fingers, baby. My eyes out here.
Nice, Avery. Okay. So the thing with garlic is I'm really picky. I like to cut the kind of stem part off, this little brown kind of hard part off. Not everybody does this, but I always do it. It's up to you if you want to. So I'm just cutting off, oh, where's the camera? There. I just cut off this hard brown part. It's just a little tiny bit. I just trim it. I'm using 3 cloves today, but you can use more. Okay. And then I have my 3 cloves. I'm just gonna really very roughly just chop it. It doesn't have to be super small. I'm just gonna slice it. Okay, doesn't have to be, like I said, minced. Just run your knife through it. It's mainly just gonna kind of melt into your curry. Okay, so once you've cut your garlic, you can also start adding it to your onions. For those of you who've cut your garlic, you can go ahead and add them to your onions. My stove is still off. Can you put it back on me, Mimi? On me. My stove is still turned off because we're just waiting for the other vegetables to get prepped. But once you guys are all done prepping your vegetables, we'll move on to the next step. Avery, that's very nice knife work. Impressive. How you doing, Clayton? Thumbs up? Okay, cool. Cam? Tyler?
Lena?
Yeah,
Sorry, question. So did you chop the garlic?
Yes.
I just chopped it roughly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like really small.
Doesn't have to be minced, but just roughly chopped or sliced. And then you can just add it straight into your onions. Okay, so we're gonna move on to our next step in about 30 seconds. Nice, Tyler's done. I see a thumbs up from Auntie Joyce. How you doing, McKenna? You still working? Okay. Almost done? Okay, so in a little bit, I'm going to move on to our next step. And then you can leave your cutting board behind, and we're going to move over to the stove, because the next step I'm going to do is I'm going to start adding the Thai curry paste and all the spices that you collected. Okay? All right. I'm going to unmute everybody, Mimi.
We're done.
You're done. Great. Okay, anyone else?
Oh, done.
Done? Okay, cool. So you can go ahead and turn your stove back on. If you turned it off, turn your stove back on. And what you're going to do is you're going to take your Thai curry paste.
You need a spoon. The paste, not the powder.
Thai curry paste. Now this curry paste is pretty spicy. So I'm just going to use one spoonful. You can use it like a tablespoonful.
And you
Not spicy.
If I get a little bit spicier, you can put in more.
One
I'm
spoonful.
just gonna put in one spoonful. So, just
I should put 4 to
see
Daddy.
my test. You
This
can add
one?
your onions and your garlic.
so you could do a
Yeah,
nice.
maybe a little bit more.
Okay. So I'm adding my Thai curry paste in. And then just stir it around. And it'll soften up as it kind of starts heating up in the pot. Okay. And the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start adding my spices. Anyone start adding their curry paste? Okay, stir it around, and then next you're gonna come get your spices. So I have my can you put it on cutting board? Okay, so I have my 3 spices here in my teaspoon. And I'm gonna add, the first thing I'm gonna add is 1 teaspoon of the ground cumin. The elusive cumin, the magical cumin.
Steady.
1 teaspoon, and add it to the pot.
What do I get? That's fine. I just opened it.
Bring it over here.
Okay, and then put your cumin aside and pick up your turmeric. Oh, we will chat.
Do it over the pot.
Chat. Okay. So we have the turmeric now. Turmeric is a
One
really,
teaspoon?
really good
One
spice.
teaspoon?
Really good for you. It's supposed to fight cancer. People like to have it in their tea sometimes. It's very yellow. It's really important not to get this on your clothes or underneath your fingernails because it can stain your fingernails and your clothes for a long time. So add your spices to your warmed up pot. The heat from your pot is going to kind of toast your spices. That's why we're putting them in now.
Do we have turmeric?
No. You'll let it. If you don't have turmeric,
Just
it's
what?
fine. No big deal.
So there's curry powder.
Then the last spice we're going to add is curry powder.
Okay.
Lena, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Is the heat still on low?
The heat's still on low. We're
Okay.
moving slowly, so that's why I'm putting on.
And also, sorry, how
Did she
is
say
the
to put the curry
measurement of
powder?
the spices really exact, or is it
No,
approximate?
it does not have to be too exact.
Okay.
Wait, one more question.
Yeah.
Is it okay if the chili paste, if it's like in chunks?
Yes, because it's going to melt. It's going to melt into the onions. Great question.
Nina.
Hi,
Thanks so
Ann.
much for doing this.
This is so much fun. Everyone's doing great.
Hey, Lena, how much of the turmeric?
Oh, 1 teaspoon.
Okay.
You can put in more if you want, Chris.
Do we put in the curry powder now?
Yes, put in the curry powder. So all 3 spices can go in. 1 teaspoon of each.
Do it over the pot, right?
And then once they're all in, you can start sauteing. And what the sauteing is going to do is going to heat up the spices. It's going to toast them. So you'll start to smell them. And they'll start to kind of blend in with the other spices and with the paste. All right, everyone ready for the next step? Not yet, okay, some people. Well, I'll tell you what the next step is so you can get it ready. The next step is gonna be, we're gonna take your can opener and open up the coconut milk. Some of you have cans of coconut milk, you should shake it up. Because what happens with coconut, what happens with coconut is the fat rises to the top and you want it to be all mixed in. Good shaking. Right, Lynna? Okay. Here we go. I'm going to use my can opener. Does everyone, can you put on cutting? Yeah, good. Cutting board. Use your can opener and open up your can. Be careful to not cut yourself on the lid if you have a can. I'm opening up 2 cans.
So you can watch your hashi opens up that up. This is like a cat food.
Everyone got their can open?
Just lift it up.
Okay.
What is this little thing is? I don't know.
Okay, so we're going to start adding in our coconut milk. Whenever you have it opened, you can add your coconut milk to your onions and your spices.
Okay.
I'll go with
Do we just pour it in?
Pour it in. Just pour it in.
Whoa.
Sizzle.
You can ask Lynna where to get panda. Okay. You want to do this one, Sabrina? Pull this out.
Okay, kind of stir it up. I'm going to add my second can in. Be careful of the lid. Remember to be careful of the lid. Don't cut yourself. And pour in the second can and stir. Okay. You guys are doing so well. I want to tell you, you guys are making a really ambitious dish. I wanted to start with a very challenging dish because I wanted you to know that you can do this. I wanted to challenge you all. Hi, Madison. Okay, everyone got their coconut milk in? You can stir it up. You can keep your pots on low. All right, the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna start working with our protein. So those of you who have chicken, get your chicken out. For those of you who have tofu, get your tofu out. Cutting, no, you can put it on me. Okay, so can you unmute everyone, maybe? Everyone pretty much there?
Quite it. There you go.
Everyone ready to work on protein? Everyone ready to work on chicken or tofu? Okay, so so for those of you who are using chicken, take out your chicken on your cutting board and cut your chicken into bite-sized pieces.
Oh. Why don't you kind of scoot a little bit? You want to watch me do this so that you kind of.
Yeah. Put it on.
Now, as you cut, I know. Okay. So I'm going to talk. So the thing with chicken is chicken has a lot of bacteria on it. You want to make sure once you touch your chicken, you cannot touch anything else. You can touch your knife, your cutting board, and your chicken, and leave your chicken on the cutting board or put it into a bowl, but don't touch like your stirring spoon. Don't touch the spice bottles again until you wash your hands. So before you touch anything else, your hands, once you touch raw meat, your hands are contaminated. So make sure once you touch the raw chicken, you're only handling the chicken and the knife. That's all you should be handling. Okay, so take your chicken. I don't have chicken yet, because I'm using tofu. If you're, those of you who are using chicken, take your chicken and cut it into big chunks. Each chunk should maybe be like, can be pretty big because it's going to shrink a little bit in your cutting board, but it can be about the size of this cauliflower here. Pretty big. If you have a boneless, skinless chicken thigh, you can cut it into like 4 pieces if you want. And if you have chicken breast, you can cut that chicken breast maybe into like 8 or 10 pieces. Big chunks are okay. Shmoo, you and I have tofu. So I see you and your mom have already got the tofu open. The thing with tofu is it comes in a package with water. So I'm just gonna drain it. So I'll let you guys work on chicken.
Did you say hi? Did she see you?
Oh, Avery, did you have your chicken cut already? What?
Like that much chicken. Depends how much chicken you want.
Oh, you and I have tofu. So you and I are going to cut our tofu the same way. Ready? So I'm going to stand up my tofu. Baby, can you put it on the cutting board? Okay, I'm going to stand up my tofu here. Shmoo, you see this? I'm going to cut it in half this way first. So I'm going to cut it through that block. Like that. Now it's 2 big flat halves, 2 big squares. Okay, and then once you're done cutting that in half, then I'm just going to cut it down maybe into 4 rows, 4 strips, and then I'll cut it into cubes this way.
I know, but she's as big as a cauliflower, so.
Everyone doing okay? Your coconut milk mixture is bubbling away nicely on your stove. You don't have to worry about it right now. It's melting all of your spices and your curry paste in. And then as soon as you're done cutting your chicken and your tofu, you can go ahead and add it to your coconut milk pot. Okay, so as you finish
I'm not touching it.
It's bubbling.
That's great. I was trying to make.
So for those of you who want to add your tofu to the stove, you can.
Does that cut them in half?
Add it. Oh, that's only for the tofu.
Anyone have any questions? You're all unmuted, so I can. If you guys have a question, you can speak out.
We just put the chicken into the.
Yeah. Go ahead and put it straight into the coconut milk.
Okay.
Okay. Me.
want you to do another one?
Hi, Lena.
Hi, Chris. Good to
It looks
see you.
good.
Hey, Sabrina, do you have a question?
Yeah, I was curious if you could start out by putting less spice in the curry and then add more and more.
You could probably add more curry paste later if you want a little spicy. I would go less spicy first. You're right.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So only like half of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Everyone doing okay? You got your chicken almost done? Okay. For those of you who are ready for your next step, if your chicken's in your pot, we're going to add the rest of the flavorings. So the next thing we're going to add is the fish sauce and the sugar. Oh, sorry. Be sure to wash your hands. Remember what I said earlier? Make sure after you've touched raw meat, make sure you wash your hands very, very well with soap and water before you touch the spoon or the fish sauce or the sugar. So if you need to wash your hands, go ahead.
Why you don't want? How much are we using? You only just like meat that much, so.
Excuse me, Auntie Lena.
Hey, Clayton.
So we don't have the fish sauce, so
That's okay.
we're gonna
You can
use soy
use
sauce.
Perfect.
Like, how much are we supposed to put in?
I would say about 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, and then you can taste it as you go. Okay?
Thank you.
Question. Yeah, great question.
How much fish sauce?
What?
How much fish sauce?
I'd say about to taste, maybe 2 tablespoons. Fish sauce is also really good for you. It's naturally fermented. It's really good for your body to have fish sauce. Okay, so those of you who are ready to add your fish sauce, everyone's chicken in. You can add 2 tablespoons of your fish sauce.
You could put
And then I'm going to add my sugar next. So the sugar is optional. You can do it to taste. I'm going to start with maybe 1 tablespoon. You can put in more, you can put in none. I think it tastes a little bit better with some sugar because this sauce, it's so savory. So I'm going to add a couple tablespoons of sugar.
Lena, question.
Yeah.
Would brown sugar be better than regular white sugar?
Yeah.
Brown sugar.
Yeah. I'm using coconut sugar. I'm just adding, perfect. I'm adding like good tablespoons. Then just mix everything in. Okay. And at this point, now you're going to be at the stove. You can turn your heat up to medium now. So once you've added your chicken in, you can turn your heat up to medium on your pot.
Yeah.
Got your chicken and your tofu in the pot.
The brown thing, the left, your other left. That's covered.
Okay. So now I'm going to add my vegetables in. Let's not add the vegetables yet. Let's wait for your chicken to heat up a little bit more. So turn your heat up to medium or medium high. Medium or medium high? Those of you who are brave, you can take a spoon. Take a spoon and taste your sauce. Actually, don't taste. If you have chicken in your sauce, don't taste it yet because your chicken's not cooked through. But you can taste it in about 10 minutes. I have tofu in mine, so I'm going to taste mine.
Sure.
Heat up to medium high if you haven't already.
You want to taste it. and I know she. It's
You can do it right now. I'm just saying.
Okay.
Guys are almost there. We're like 90% there, guys. Your hands are clean. You can go ahead and start putting your spices back into the cupboards. You can start cleaning up a little bit, cleaning up your workspace. You can put your spices away. You can put your fish sauce away, your sugar away. You can recycle your cans if you use cans. I'm going to recycle mine. Your workspace as much as possible.
Does fish sauce need to be refrigerated after it's opened?
What?
Does fish sauce be refrigerated?
Doesn't have to be. Getting to wipe and clean that area. The Thai curry paste, I think it says you I think it does, you don't have to, but I always refrigerate mine. Your Thai curry paste will keep for a very, very long time. You can even freeze it if you want, but this will keep in your fridge for like 2 months. Okay.
Lena, your idea of a very long time is a lot different than mine.
I agree. You're a minimalist. Okay, we're gonna put the vegetables in after your chickens had a chance to cook a little longer. Because if you put it in now, it's gonna get too mushy and too overcooked. So I like to put in my vegetables a little later. So for your chicken, let's make sure it's bubbling away in your pot and give it a stir every so often. Okay, give it a stir every so often. It'll cook pretty quickly. And for those of you who are using carrots, I saw many of you have carrots. If you have carrots, you can add it to your pot in the next couple minutes because carrots are a pretty hard vegetable. They take a little longer to cook. I like to put in certain vegetables sooner because some of them will take longer to cook. So I'm gonna put in, if you have carrots, you can put in your carrots now. If you have broccoli, depending on how mushy you like your broccoli, you can put in your broccoli.
Stop it, dude.
If you have zucchini, I think some of you have bell peppers and zucchini. I would wait a little bit longer.
Here. I chopped it. Yeah. They're not huge though. Jill was like.
Does everyone have their noodles? Or who's serving theirs with rice tonight? Raise your hand. Who's serving their curry with rice? Okay. Oh, everybody. Sabrina, you doing rice or noodles?
Enough carrots. There's not enough carrots.
Sabrina, are you doing noodles or rice?
Rice.
Rice?
Rice.
How about you, McKenna and Bobo?
Rice.
Okay, everyone's doing rice. Awesome. Cameron.
What's
Rice or noodles? Cameron, are you doing rice or noodles?
All right.
Okay, awesome. So use your rice cooking. Everyone has their rice ready? Because your dinner's going to be on the stove, on your table in about 8 minutes. Anyone have some garnishes to put on? Do you guys have your lime sliced? Anyone want to put limes or basil, scallions, cilantro? You can go ahead and get those prepped right now as you wait for your chicken to cook.
Betty, can you go
So
get
those
it?
of you who have carrots, make sure your carrots are in.
Can I start?
Make sure your broccoli's in at this point. I'm going to add my cauliflower now.
Slice the garnishes. You want to slice
What's a garnish?
it? A little.
Garnish is like something you eat on the side, on top of your dish.
Oh, okay.
Cauliflower.
Oh, are we on mute?
No. Why?
Cauliflower, broccoli can all go in. Carrots.
What about mushrooms?
Mushrooms can go in now.
What
Mushrooms
about green
release
beans?
a lot of liquid, so it'll be really nice. Actually, it'll mellow out, dial down the spice a little.
Yeah. No, but you're a chicken.
Auntie Lena,
Yeah.
when should we put in our
Okay.
we have snap peas, when should we put it in?
I would wait like 2 more minutes, Clayton. Because
Okay.
the thing is with snap peas, if you put them in too soon, they get mushy. You kind of want your snap peas to still have a little crunch. And so if you put them in a little bit, you'll have crunchier snap peas.
Oh, don't play with the knife. Don't play with the knife, Robo. Step away from the knife. You're dumb. I hoarded a knife before. And I've done this before.
I'm just cutting my green beans in half now.
I did it with Daddy.
Hey, Clayton.
And I did it on myself.
Hey, Clayton. Clayton, when you put in, when I put in my green beans, you put in your snap peas, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Anyone else have green beans? I think Avery, you had green beans? Oh, McKenna? If those of you have green beans, let's do 2 more minutes and then we're going to put in our green beans. But keep working on your garnishes if you have them. So you can slice your green onions, you can quarter your limes, wash your basil. Every so often, give your curry a stir.
Aren't you still working? Okay.
For those of you who want to try your sauce, you can take a spoon and just dip it into the sauce. Don't eat the chicken yet. Don't eat a piece of chicken. Just dip it into the sauce and see how it tastes. See if it needs more fish sauce. If it needs more sugar.
Should we see how it tastes?
Something spicy.
Actually, have it right there.
Doing good?
I know. Oh.
Stretch, everybody. Okay, everybody, go ahead if you have more vegetables to add. If you have your bell peppers, your snap peas, your green beans, now is the time to add it.
Yep.
How much fish sauce and sugar are we supposed to add?
I would put in about 2 tablespoons of fish sauce and 1 tablespoon of sugar to start.
Okay.
And see how it tastes. You can add more later.
Angelina,
Second turn?
Thank you.
Welcome.
Angelina,
Yeah.
wait, what do you do if it's too spicy?
If it's too spicy, you can add more vegetables. You can add more vegetables if you want. That'll dial it down a little bit if you have more vegetables. If you have more coconut milk, you can add a little more coconut milk.
Using these homegrown green onions.
Oh, cool. Beautiful. Yeah, so add more vegetables if you taste it and see it's a little spicy. Don't forget though, when you're gonna eat it with rice, and the rice will kind of mellow out your spice too. And like I said, it is a spicy dish. It is gonna be a little spicy.
This coconut milk versus that
Here, put him in the camera. Oh, you can ask her, but I'll stand here.
Wait, are we on mute? Oh, no.
Maybe put them in here.
Elena?
Yeah,
Oh, what's the difference between this coconut milk and then like a Thai coconut milk? Are they?
Is that like a Whole Foods brand, that first one?
Yeah.
I tend to go with the Thai. They're probably generally the same. Is one of them say light?
Yeah, that was all they had.
Oh yeah, it's fine. It's totally fine.
Okay, but they're for the next time we make it, it's all the same. Okay.
It's all the same, yeah. The light one just means they have a little bit less cream in it. It'll be a little bit less rich.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Lena, question.
Yeah.
If we think that our curry is too thick looking, can we dilute it with some water?
You can, yeah, or broth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
It is supposed to be kind of thick though.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Okay, guys, so your dish is every vegetable in? Yeah, okay. Thumbs up from Clayton. Good. Sabrina. Are you done?
Yeah, amazing.
It's good.
Supposed to be a high heat like this?
Oh, it's spicy.
Okay, guys. All done, Shmoo? Shmoo, your dish is done. Just give it a final stir and turn off the heat.
No,
Yeah, I can.
we cover the pot. So
Don't need to cover it unless you're in a hurry.
Wait, so
Chris, beautiful.
Isn't it
excuse
great?
me?
So pretty.
Yeah.
Love it. Someone else have a
Angelina?
question? Yeah. Hi, Clayton.
So I'm supposed to turn off the heat now?
You have chicken, so I'm gonna have you wait a little bit.
Okay,
Ask
thank
your
you.
parents to check if they think the chicken's done and if the vegetable is soft enough. You had bell peppers, zucchini, and snap peas, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So check to make sure the vegetables are cooked to the right softness, and then chicken. Make sure your chicken's cooked through. Your chicken's probably pretty much cooked through at this point.
Thank you.
Sure. It's okay if you're veggie heavy. Oh, Jordan, it's beautiful. I love the mushrooms in it. Yay! Everyone's did such a great job.
It was so much fun.
Thanks, Chris.
Sorry, I had to step in.
Yeah, no problem.
Maybe you should, Lynna, can you do an adult class sometime?
Of course. You just tell me what you want to make.
We can have wine and cook.
Clayton, that's a gorgeous pot. Oh, beautiful.
Thank you.
Any other questions? It's 6 o'clock.
Anna, can we see yours?
Shmuel, can you get your mom to bring your phone over? Tyler, is your rice all done? You guys ready to eat? You set your table?
No,
Tyler?
I can just
You have all your garnishes ready.
Anna wants to show hers.
Oh,
Beautiful.
Winnie has a question, Mimi.
I don't.
Tyler, why don't you set the table?
Is there a good way to know if the chicken's done? It's probably done by now. If you cut the chicken into chunks, I would say it's done. Okay, McKenna, how's yours looking? How's yours looking, McKenna? Cameron, how is it? Still too spicy? Oh, beautiful, McKenna. How's it, Cameron? So did you all taste it? If it's salty enough, great. If it's sweet enough, great. If not, just add more stuff to it. It is going to be spicy. Don't forget. Yay, Tyler, Maddie, great job. Oh, beautiful.
Thank you, Lynna. We're going to go eat.
Okay, bye, Chris.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, thanks.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Bye,
Lynna.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.
We're running a little behind.
Okay, sorry. Hey, you put it on my shoulder.
Bye, everybody. Bye, Caroline.
Wait, excuse me?
Still here. You have Clayton.
Is ours done? Yeah.
Yours is done.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thanks, Lynna. That was so fun.
Thanks, Diana. Thanks for helping, everybody. Thanks for helping.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Hi, Anne.
It tastes good. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah, but we're almost there.
You like it, Sabrina? Great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Welcome. This is so
So
fun.
fun. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Come again.
Good dinner.
Bye, Winnie. Thanks for your help. Bye. Yeah. That's the one.
She's leaving. Everybody done? And done?
Everyone's off. 6:03.
So.
I
right?